Look, I want you to think about something for a second. Right now, today, if your car needed a $750 repair, would you pay it in cash without sweating? Not put it on a credit card and figure it out later, not call your parents, not skip other bills this month, just handle it. If you're like 57% of Americans, according to a 2024 Federal Reserve study, the answer is no, you couldn't. You'd be scrambling, you'd be stressed, you'd be making trade-offs between this crisis and next month's rent. But here's what's wild to me. If you can handle that $750 hit without your life falling apart, you're probably sitting there thinking you're not doing well financially because you don't feel rich. You still worry about money. You still have debt. You're still comparing yourself to people on Instagram who seem to have it all figured out. And that's the problem. We've completely lost track of what financial health actually looks like. We think it's having $1 million in the bank, or owning a house outright, or never having to check your account balance. But those aren't the markers of financial health. Those are the markers of financial wealth, and they're not the same thing. So today, I'm going to show you the actual signs that you're winning with money, even when it doesn't feel like it. And then I'm going to show you the exact math on how $500 a month, just $500, turns into over $1 million. Not through some get-rich-quick scheme, not through crypto, not through anything except boring, predictable, powerful compounding. Because here's the thing most people don't realize. The difference between financial chaos and financial stability isn't millions of dollars, it's margin. It's having a little bit of breathing room. And once you have that, everything changes. My name is Nate, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people make terrible money decisions. If you're someone who works hard, makes decent money, but still feels like you're behind and can't figure out why you're not getting ahead, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This video is going to challenge a lot of what you think about money, because we've been sold this lie that financial success looks like luxury cars and big houses and early retirement at 40. But the reality is way more boring and way more achievable than that. And once you understand what you're actually building toward, everything gets easier. So let's start with the test that actually matters. Here's the first real signal that you're building financial stability. Can you cover a $500 to $1,000 surprise expense in cash without your life falling apart? Not can you technically scrape it together by putting it on a credit card and eating ramen for 3 weeks. I mean, can you actually handle it without stress, without sacrifice, without crisis? Because here's what most people don't realize. According to Bankrate's 2024 Emergency Savings Report, only 44% of Americans could cover a $1,000 emergency using savings. That means 56% of the country is one car repair, one medical bill, one broken appliance away from a financial crisis. Think about that for a second. More than half of Americans are living on the edge of chaos every single day. One surprise expense away from debt, stress, late fees, overdrafts, all of it. So if you can handle a $1,000 surprise without blinking, you're literally in the top half of the country. You've crossed a threshold that the majority of people haven't. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about having the money, it's about what that money represents psychologically. When you can't handle a surprise expense, you live in a constant state of low-grade anxiety. You're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Every weird noise your car makes is a potential catastrophe. Every email from your landlord makes your stomach drop. You're in reactive mode constantly. But when you can handle it, everything changes. Your nervous system calms down. You stop living in fight or flight mode. You make better decisions because you're not making them from a place of fear and scarcity. This is what Ramit Sethi talks about in I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He calls it your infrastructure. It's the unsexy, boring foundation that makes everything else possible. And most people completely skip building it because they want to jump straight to investing and getting rich. But you can't build wealth on top of chaos. You just can't. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nate, I get it. Emergency funds are important. Everyone says that. But how do I get there when I'm living paycheck to paycheck? And that's the right question. Because here's the thing. You don't build an emergency fund by trying to save $1,000 all at once. That's overwhelming and it never happens. You build it the same way you build everything else with money. Consistently, automatically, in small amounts that don't break you. Let me give you a specific example. Let's say you start with $25 a week, just $25. That's one less DoorDash order, one stop at Starbucks, one less impulse Amazon purchase. Most people can find $25 a week without fundamentally changing their lifestyle. $25 a week is roughly $100 a month. In 10 months, you have $1,000. In 1 year, you have $1,300. Now, you might be thinking, a year? That's forever. And yeah, it might feel like that right now, but here's the alternative. You can spend the next year the same way you spent the last year, scrambling and stressed every time something breaks. Or you can spend it building the foundation that changes everything. Time is going to pass either way. The question is whether you're using it to move forward or just survive. But here's the upgrade to this test. Once you can handle a $1,000 surprise, the next level is, can you handle it without even checking your account balance first? That's when you know you've built real margin, when a surprise expense is an inconvenience, not a crisis, when you just deal with it and move on. And that feeling, that calm, that's what you're actually building toward. Not being rich, being unshakable. All right, so let's talk about the third major signal that you're building financial health. Your system runs on autopilot. Because here's the thing about willpower and discipline. They're limited resources. They run out. And if your financial success depends on you making perfect decisions every single day, you're going to fail. Not because you're weak or lazy, but because you're human. So the goal is to remove as many decisions as possible. You want to build a system that works even when you're tired, stressed, or distracted. And the way you do that is through automation. Now, when I say automation, I'm not talking about anything fancy or complicated. I'm talking about setting up your money so it moves itself without you having to think about it. Here's what that looks like practically. Bills on autopay. Every single recurring bill should be on autopay. Not most of them, all of them. Rent, utilities, phone, internet, insurance, subscriptions, everything. You should never have to think, did I pay the electric bill this month? Now, you might be thinking, but Nate, what if I don't have enough money in my account when it tries to pull? And that's a valid concern. But here's the thing. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills on autopay, you don't have enough money to pay them manually either. Autopay doesn't create the problem, it just reveals it earlier. And honestly, that's a good thing. Because when you set up autopay and realize you're cutting it too close, it forces you to face the real issue. You need to either reduce expenses or increase income. There's no hiding from it. Savings automated. This is huge. Every payday, money should automatically move from checking to savings before you see it, before you think about it, before you have a chance to spend it. This is what David Bach calls pay yourself first in The Automatic Millionaire, and it's probably the single most powerful financial habit you can build. Here's why it works. Humans are loss averse. We hate losing money more than we love gaining it. So if money is in your checking account and you transfer it to savings, it feels like you're losing it. It hurts. Your brain resists. But if the money never hits your checking account in the first place, you don't miss it. You adjust your spending to match what's available. You adapt. I saw this firsthand when I started automating $200 a month to my savings account. For the first 2 months, I thought this is going to be tight. But you know what happened? I just spent $200 less without even thinking about it. My brain adjusted. I found inefficiencies I didn't even know were there. And here's the thing that most people don't realize. Those inefficiencies are always there. We just don't notice them until we're forced to. Debt payments automated, above minimums. If you have debt, you should have automated payments set up for more than the minimum, even if it's just $10 more, even if it's $25 more, because consistent beats massive every single time. Let me show you why this matters. Let's say you have a $5,000 credit card at 18% APR. If you pay the minimum payment of $100 a month, you'll pay it off in 7 years and 10 months, and you'll pay $4,311 in interest. Your $5,000 debt will cost you $9,311. But if you automate an extra $50 a month, so you're paying $150 total, you'll pay it off in 3 years and 10 months, and you'll pay $1,958 in interest. You'll save $2,353 and 4 years of your life. That's the power of consistency. Not big heroic efforts, just $50 a month automatically. Investing automated. This is the big one. This is what turns $500 into $1 million, but we'll get to the math in a minute. The point is, if you're waiting until you have extra money to invest, you'll never invest. There's never extra money. There's always something else that seems important. But if investing is automated, if it happens before you see the money, it becomes a non-negotiable part of your financial infrastructure. It's not something you do when you feel like it, it's something that happens whether you feel like it or not. And that consistency is literally worth millions of dollars over long time periods. Now here's what's interesting about automation. It doesn't just help you save money, it reduces decision fatigue. There's a famous study where researchers found that judges were more likely to grant parole in the morning than in the afternoon. Not because the cases were different, but because making decisions all day exhausted their mental resources. By the afternoon, they just defaulted to no because it was easier. Your financial decisions work the same way. Every should I save this or spend this decision costs money.
So here's your step-by-step roadmap based on where you are right now. If you're starting from zero, Step 1. Get $1,000 in savings as fast as possible. Not $10,000, not 6 months of expenses, just $1,000. This is your initial buffer, your the car broke down money. How to do it? Set up an automatic transfer of $25 to $50 per paycheck into a separate savings account. Sell stuff you don't use, old electronics, clothes, furniture, whatever. Pick up a side gig for 1 month, DoorDash, Uber, babysitting, yard work, whatever. Cut 1 or 2 expenses temporarily, streaming services, eating out, subscriptions. The goal is not to sustain this forever. The goal is to sprint to that first $1,000 so you have a foundation to build on. Step 2. Get on auto pay for all your bills. This should take you 1 afternoon, literally 1 afternoon. Go through every recurring bill you have and set up auto pay. Yes, all of them. Step 3. Start tracking where your money goes. I don't care if you use a fancy app or a piece of paper, just write down what you spend for 1 month. Every dollar. Because you can't fix what you can't see. If you have $1,000 saved but you're still in debt, then Step 4. List all your debts from smallest to largest balance. This is the debt snowball method from Dave Ramsey's The Total Money Makeover. Yes, I know it's mathematically suboptimal compared to paying off highest interest first. I don't care. Psychology beats math when it comes to behavior change. Step 5. Pay minimum payments on everything except the smallest debt. Throw every extra dollar at the smallest debt until it's gone. Then take that payment and roll it into the next smallest debt. The reason this works is because you get quick wins, you see progress, you build momentum, and momentum is what keeps you going when it gets hard. Step 6. While you're paying off debt, keep saving $25 to $50 per paycheck. Don't stop building your emergency fund just because you're paying off debt. You need both. Because if you drain your emergency fund to pay off debt and then an emergency happens, you go right back into debt. If you're debt-free with 3 to 6 months saved, then Step 7, increase your savings rate to 15 to 20% of gross income. This is the level where wealth actually starts building. This is where that $500 a month that turns into millions comes from. Step 8, open a Roth IRA or contribute more to your 401k. If your employer offers a 401k match, max that out first. That's free money. After that, open a Roth IRA and contribute up to the annual limit, $7,000 for 2024. Step 9. Invest in low-cost index funds and don't touch them. Pick a target date fund or total stock market index fund. Set up automatic contributions, then forget about it for 30 years. Seriously, don't check it every day. Don't panic when the market drops. Don't try to time it. Just let it compound. If you're already investing consistently, then Step 10, optimize for tax efficiency. Make sure you're taking full advantage of tax-advantaged accounts, 401k, HSA, IRA, 529 if you have kids. Step 11, earn your income. At this point, cutting expenses has diminishing returns. You need to focus on making more money. That might mean negotiating a raise, switching jobs, starting a side business, developing a high-income skill, building a second income stream. The gap between someone making $50,000 and someone making $100,000 isn't usually talent or intelligence, it's strategy and negotiation. Step 12, give yourself permission to enjoy it.
This is the part people forget. You can't just optimize forever. At some point, you need to actually use your money to make your life better. Maybe that's taking a great vacation. Maybe it's buying the thing you've wanted for years. Maybe it's helping someone you care about. Money is a tool. It's supposed to make your life better, not just sit in accounts growing forever. So, once you're at the point where you're saving 15 to 20%, you're out of debt, you have margin, give yourself permission to actually enjoy some of it. Because here's the thing, you can't take it with you, and there's no prize for dying with the most money. Now, let me address the biggest objection I hear to all of this. Nate, this all sounds great, but I don't make enough money to save $500 a month. And I get it, I really do. If you're making $35,000 a year and living in an expensive city, $500 a month is 17% of your gross income. That's tough. But here's what I want you to hear. The principles still apply even if the numbers are smaller. Can't save $500? Save $50. Can't save $50? Save $25. Can't save $25? Save $10. The specific number matters less than the habit because the habit is what compounds, not just the money. I'd rather see you save $10 a month consistently for 5 years than save $500 a month for 2 months and then give up, because the person who saves $10 a month for 5 years has built a system that will scale as their income grows. And here's something else. Your income isn't fixed. You're not locked into making what you make now for the rest of your life. If you're making $35,000 a year and you're intentional about your career, you could realistically be making $50,000 in 3 years, $70,000 in 5 years, $100,000 in 10 years. Those aren't crazy numbers. They're just the result of consistent improvement and strategic career moves. But most people don't think about their income strategically. They just accept whatever they're offered and hope for the occasional raise. Don't do that. Be intentional. Develop skills that are valuable. Switch jobs every 2 to 3 years if you need to. That's where the big raises are. Negotiate, build leverage. Your income is the biggest wealth-building tool you have. Don't leave it on the table. All right, let me pull all of this together with one final thought. The difference between financial chaos and financial stability isn't millions of dollars. It's margin. It's having a little bit of breathing room between what you make and what you spend. And the difference between financial stability and financial freedom isn't winning the lottery. It's time. It's letting small, consistent amounts compound over decades. That's it. That's the whole secret. Save consistently, invest in low-cost index funds, don't touch it, let time do the work. It's not sexy, it's not exciting, it's not going to make you rich next year, but it will make you a millionaire eventually. And eventually is good enough. Because here's what I've learned after spending way too much time thinking about this. The people who build wealth aren't the ones chasing the next hot stock or the next crypto boom. They're the ones who do the boring thing consistently for a really long time. They automate their savings, they pay themselves first, they invest in index funds, they don't panic when the market drops, they just keep going. And 20 years later, they look up and realize they're millionaires. Not because they did anything special, just because they didn't quit. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one thing from this video and do it this week. Not next month, not when you feel ready, this week. Open that savings account, set up autopay, increase your 401k contribution by 1%, something, anything, because action beats intention every single time. And if you found this helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out my other videos on building wealth, beating debt, and making smarter money decisions. My name is Nate, and I'll see you in the next one.